And the recent attacks are also having an impact on the presidential race as Americans decide who's better prepared to handle terrorism. According to recent polls, voters think Donald Trump is better equipped to handle ISIS, but they trust Hillary Clinton more to handle an international crisis. Time magazine reporter Zeke Miller is in Washington joining us now. With the recent attacks, Zeke, in Bangladesh, Istanbul, Orlando, just how influential of an issue do you see this for voters come November when it comes to security and terrorism?
I think we're starting to just see this really hit home with the American people. That there has now been sort of almost a routine to these attacks with San Bernardino and Paris that were just a couple of weeks apart. And in the last month, almost every week it seems, sometimes day to day, there's been another attack. It's going to reignite the fears of the American people about terrorism, and we're starting to see that in some of the polling. And the challenges on both of those candidates, both on Donald Trump and for Hillary Clinton, how to best respond to those fears and channel them most effectively to not quite sort of pour fuel on the flames, but to find a way to maybe alleviate some of those concerns while bolstering their own credentials.
I want to talk to you also about Donald Trump's speech yesterday at the Western Conservative Conference in Denver. It was supposed to be a sense of opportunity for him to try and unify the party, but do you think he made any inroads?
It was a very Donald Trump type speech, not like the ones we've seen in the last couple of weeks when he's been off the teleprompter. It was back to the recitation of all of the different ways the Republican Party slighted him, and he overcame that to win the nomination. That has become the Donald Trump standard stump routine. That is not a way to bring the Republican Party together, particularly in a state like Colorado, where there was not a primary or caucus. There was instead sort of a convention that elected the delegates, and he claimed that sort of the epitome of the rigged system out to get him. That sort of victimization narrative from Donald Trump was not something that was going to earn him really any support in Colorado, a state where he needs as many Republicans as possible. That's a swing state target that he pretty much needs to carry in order to win the White House.
And there's also, this is my favorite part of the election cycle, the Veep stakes. I love talking about this. Donald Trump, a lot of buzz that he may be choosing a running mate soon. Among the highlights on the top of the list there, former House Speaker Newt Gingrich and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, reportedly both on the short list. Are these smart choices for Trump, and what boxes does he need to tick off with the VP candidate?
A lot of this will come down to what type of candidate Donald Trump thinks, what type of running mate he thinks he needs to win the White House and also to run with him at the White House. Newt Gingrich and Chris Christie are sort of similarly respected within the Republican Party, so that helps him grow his support, his appeal within the Republican Party. So they're both helpful, but they both have very different attitudes towards how they would run the government, but also be running mates. Newt Gingrich has sort of been around forever, the former Speaker of the House. He has relationships across the entire party. He would be sort of the type of the glad handler, somebody who can bring more people towards Trump. Chris Christie, on the other hand, is kind of Trump light in a way, and that was back last year when he was running for the nomination. He was always expressing frustration that Donald Trump was stealing some of his thunder. He would sort of be doubling down on that and would become the attack dog alongside Donald Trump. And part of that, that doesn't quite balance the ticket, but if for Trump, if he feels like he needs to double down on that, on his message, the bombast and sort of the attitude message to the American people, that's the direction he would go.
I'm looking at the breakdown here that we're looking at Marco Rubio, that more likely to vote for Trump if his VP choices, and among the list, picking Marco Rubio. Do you think he has a shot? He was just not someone who has really expressed great optimism or love for Donald Trump.
Yeah, Marco Rubio doesn't seem to want it. I mean, he's running for Senate now in Florida. That would be sort of the about face on the about face on the about face for him. Certainly, but other names like Mike Pence in Indiana, who met with Donald Trump yesterday, is certainly on that list. A very sort of respected conservative, comes out of the evangelical wing of the party. Could help Trump a lot in that on that side of things. Is also a more even temper than, say, a Chris Christie and a Donald Trump. So that's a way where they can balance that ticket a little bit while bringing more of the party together.
Hillary Clinton, I want to talk about her. Reportedly today, she's meeting with FBI investigators about her private email server. This follows, of course, the Loretta Lynch controversy that her husband, Bill Clinton, met with Loretta Lynch in an airport at the tarmac there. But Loretta Lynch will, in fact, accept the FBI's recommendation she announced yesterday on whether Clinton should face charges. What's at stake in this meeting today?
Obviously there is the very small potential for some sort of criminal charge to be filed, but talking to most legal experts, even Republicans, they don't really see a very strong likelihood for the FBI or the U.S. attorneys to recommend sort of criminal charges. This entire situation, though, is a public relations disaster of the Clintons' own creation. Back when she created her own private email server, when she didn't turn over the emails when she left the State Department, only when she had to be asked for it, and then even then her statements after the fact saying there was no classified information, and then sort of the wiggling around that it was classified after the fact. So this has become, and then now obviously the Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton, sort of a lot of unforced errors, by the Clinton campaign here that will feed into the narrative among people who already don't like Hillary Clinton that she can't be trusted, and among her own supporters that there's the vast right-wing conspiracies out to get her. So it contributes to the polarization of the campaign, certainly, and a lot of independents look at that as sort of a symbol of the drama they've come to hate in politics.
It's also fun to watch President Obama, really a big supporter for Hillary Clinton. We're expected to see him make his first appearance by her side next week. How much of this will give her a boost? What President Obama wants to do vis-a-vis what the Clinton campaign has already done is, if you look at what Democrats have done over the last couple of months, it's been a lot of Donald Trump is an awful person. He's done some bad things. He's not out to help you. They've said very little about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton really has not found the affirmative message for her campaign yet, beyond the sort of that she's done the listening tours, but she still hasn't found the one-line message to sell the American people. What President Obama wants to do, according to White House officials, is essentially serve as her biggest validator, saying that he was the convert. He ran against her, defeated her in 2008, then turned around a couple months later and picked her to be a Secretary of State, watched her work in the White House on some of the toughest issues facing the United States, and he's going to say that makes her the most qualified person and offer that affirmative message. And Joe Biden will do the same next week in Scranton, Pennsylvania, as well. And that's something that they're trying to subtly nudge the Clinton campaign in a way to offer a more positive vision instead of just going after Donald Trump, which is in a way the low-hanging fruit. Zeke Miller, Time Magazine political reporter. Zeke, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.